Pigeons. They're everywhere. Honestly, there's probably not a single statue that hasn't been decorated by one of these birds. Most people see them as freeloaders, begging for food and leaving messes. But here's the twist. The white dove has been a symbol of peace since biblical times. And from ancient history all the way to the 20th century, pigeons were the backbone of communication, aka pigeon post. So how did humans train these dumb birds to deliver mail? And what else are pigeons capable of? We tend to think birds aren't smart, but in the 1960s, Soviet biologist Leonid Voronin studied reflexes across animals. Crows and ravens learned almost as fast as primates. Pigeons? Not so much. After 1,500 repetitions, they improved only about 10 to 15%. Still, they managed to deliver letters across huge distances. How? Scientists agree pigeons, like turtles, sharks, and fish, sense Earth's magnetic field, using it as both map and compass. But where in their body? For a while, researchers thought it was in the beak. Later studies didn't confirm that, so there's still a bit of mystery. And forget the fantasy mail systems in Harry Potter or Game of Thrones. Even the best-trained pigeons fly only one way, home. That's their superpower. Distances of 80 kilometers? Easy. Why pigeons? They're hardy, cheap to feed, and mature quickly. Some even became war heroes. In 1918, an American pigeon named Cher Ami delivered 12 messages, survived being shot, and saved about 200 soldiers by bringing word they needed reinforcements. And if you think all pigeons look like the gray ones in your city, surprise, there's a huge variety. Baby pigeons? You almost never see them in cities because they don't leave the nest until about 30 days old. By then, they look like adults. Here's the wildest part. Pigeons can detect cancer. U.S. researchers trained common rock pigeons to distinguish benign from malignant tumors in medical images. Radiologists trained for 9 years. Pigeons nailed it in 15 days. With food rewards, they reached 85% accuracy, and after 30 days, nearly perfect. Why? Their vision is insanely sharp. The pigeon brain may be small, but its visual processing is powerful. Where humans struggle to spot differences, pigeons see them instantly. They even learned to recognize English letters back in 1982. So next time you see pigeons in the park, maybe don't kick them. They're messy, sure, but also mail carriers, war heroes, and even medical assistants. And that's baby science for you. Let's kick this off with a question. Drop a comment if you've got piercings, or if you don't, because that's the whole theme of today's video. We'll dive into stats, psychology, and by your likes, we'll know if we should make part 2 about the medical side of piercings. So, piercing. It's both the process and the result, but here we're talking about the result, the shiny metal in your skin. When did humans first decide to poke holes in themselves for decoration? Nobody knows. Archaeologists find jewelry in graves, but the flesh is long gone, so how it was attached is a mystery. Fast forward to now. A 2017 survey of Americans with piercings found 2/3 had 3 or fewer piercings. Only 1% had more than 20. Translation: most people keep it modest. The most popular spots? Ears, lips, tongue, nose, belly button, nipples, and yes, genitals. We're living in one of the most tolerant eras for piercings, but prejudices still exist. How do people perceive piercings? It depends. Back in 2014, a Russian survey found 53% of respondents disliked piercings. Other studies are all over the place. Some link piercings to risky behavior, others to creativity and openness. Basically, science can't agree. Take 2008. Psychology professor Sarah Martino at Stockton University showed 105 students photos of women with facial piercings. The models were rated less religious, more creative, artistic, and mysterious. Meanwhile, a 2006 study in Quebec looked at 2,000 teens. Those with piercings were more likely to experiment with drugs, gambling, crime, and, shock horror, attend raves. Another study from Tennessee surveyed 1,375 students. Pierced students scored higher on openness to new experiences but lower on conscientiousness. And in 2012, French researchers tested the link between piercings, tattoos, and alcohol. They literally breathalyzed people leaving bars. Result: pierced folks were more intoxicated on average. So what's the takeaway? Research reflects the biases of the researchers. If a scientist thinks piercings are rebellious, they'll design a study that proves it. If they see piercings as self-expression, they'll find creativity and openness. That's cognitive bias in action. Piercing isn't just modern fashion, it's ancient culture. In many African tribes, lip plates and ear stretching symbolized beauty, maturity, or social status. Native American groups used piercings and rituals, often linking them to spirituality and bravery. In India, nose piercings have been traditional for centuries, tied to Ayurveda and cultural identity. Even ancient Egyptians wore earrings and body jewelry as signs of wealth and divine protection. So when you see someone with a piercing today, remember, it's not just style. It's part of a global tradition stretching back thousands of years. At the end of the day, whether to pierce or not is your choice. Just remember, safety first. Consequences matter. Your head isn't only for piercings. It's also for sending a nerve impulse to your hand to smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And that's baby science for you. We sleep with our phones, wake up with our phones, and basically do everything with them, except shower. Relatable, right? And of course, we want it nearby at night, just in case we miss the alarm. The easiest move? Slip it under the pillow. But hold up, is that safe? Let's break it down. Phones do emit radiation, but not the scary kind like X-rays or gamma rays that can break chemical bonds. Smartphones give off non-ionizing radiation, long waves that can't rip molecules apart. They can cause vibrations, which we feel as heat. That's how microwaves work. Don't worry, your iPhone isn't a microwave oven. Still, researchers at the American Cancer Society note that tissues closest to the phone absorb more energy, which is why manuals say, keep it a little away from your head. Scientists measure this with SAR, specific absorption rate. In the US, the limit is 1.6 watts per kilogram. Translation: don't sleep with your phone pressed against your skull, but radiation isn't the only issue. The World Health Organization recommends putting the phone down 2 to 3 hours before bed. Why? Because of sleep disruption. A 2018 study tracked 815 people for 4 weeks. Results: 12% scrolled in the middle of the night. 41% woke up at least once a week because of their phone. On average, they slept 48 minutes less and had higher body mass indexes. The culprit? Blue light. Your eyes have special cells that don't help you see. They help regulate your biological clock. They're super sensitive to blue wavelengths, 450 to 480 nanometers. Blue light suppresses melatonin, the sleep hormone, more than green light. It can push your body clock forward by 3 hours. That's why binging TikTok at midnight feels like daylight to your brain. And then there's nomophobia, fear of being without your phone. Coined in 2008, researchers found over half of participants stressed out when their phone was lost, dead, or out of service. They compared the anxiety to wedding day jitters or a dentist visit. Basically, we've invented a new phobia. So, is sleeping with your phone under the pillow harmful? Not catastrophically, but it's not smart either. Keep it off your head, cut screen time before bed, and you'll sleep deeper, stress less, and wake up fresher. And that's baby science for you. For those hearing about nicotine salts for the first time, let's break it down. In short, it's regular nicotine that's been chemically treated with acids to make it smoother and more absorbable. Here's the science. Natural nicotine is alkaline. In that form, it's harsh, bitter, and not absorbed very efficiently. That's why smoking raw tobacco leaves isn't exactly a quick hit. Nicotine ions struggle to cross cell membranes. But researchers discovered that if you tweak nicotine with something like benzoic acid, you can make it easier to absorb and way less irritating to the throat. That's how nicotine salts were born. They mimic the feel of a cigarette, even at high nicotine levels, without the throat burn. You'll find them mostly in pod systems, those vape devices designed for cigarette-style puffs. Quick warning, because nicotine salts match the body's natural acidity, they absorb fast. We're talking 5 seconds for the chemical reaction, 10 seconds for the buzz. Compare that to a full minute with regular tobacco. Just 3 to 4 puffs can satisfy cravings. But here's the catch. Nicotine salts also stick around longer in your system. So while you might vape less often, the dependence builds faster. That's why the hype exploded. Blood nicotine levels from salts look almost identical to those from cigarettes. Heart rate spikes, breathing quickens, blood pressure rises. The same physiological stress, just delivered faster. Some users even reported symptoms of poisoning, though tests didn't show actual overdoses. The real danger? New smokers. Starting with nicotine salts means you're diving straight into the deep end. The smoother hit tricks you into thinking it's safer, but the addiction risk skyrockets. So yeah, nicotine salts sound appealing. No throat burn, instant effect, cigarette-like satisfaction. But in reality, your body is redlining, and the damage is just as real as with traditional smoking. Switching to salts won't help you quit. It just changes the delivery system. If you're serious about quitting, vaping salts isn't the way. Smash that like if you realized nicotine salts are more trap than solution. Subscribe for more science breakdowns and hit the bell so you don't miss the next deep dive. And that's baby science for you. You know that voice in your head that says don't start until it's perfect? Yeah. That voice might sound like motivation, but in reality, it's a trap. Perfectionism isn't just about high standards. It's the constant, exhausting belief that nothing you do is ever good enough. And while it might push you to succeed, it can also burn you out fast. Psychologists say perfectionism has 2 main types. Healthy perfectionism, where you aim high but stay flexible. Toxic perfectionism, where failure feels like the end of the world. The second one is brutal. It feeds anxiety, procrastination, and even depression. Because when good isn't good enough, you either overwork endlessly or don't start at all. Studies show perfectionists are more likely to struggle with insomnia, eating disorders, and burnout. One famous Harvard study even linked extreme perfectionism to higher rates of early mortality. Yeah, trying too hard to be flawless can literally kill you. So why do we do this to ourselves? A lot of it comes from fear. Fear of judgment, of not being loved, of losing control. Social media doesn't help either. Every scroll screams, everyone's crushing it but you. Spoiler alert, they're not. The brain releases dopamine when we get praise or validation, so perfectionism becomes addictive. You chase that hit of approval again and again until your entire self-worth depends on external results. But here's the thing. The opposite of perfection isn't failure, it's progress. The healthiest people aim high, but accept that mistakes are part of growth. Michelangelo didn't carve the David in one go. Edison failed hundreds of times before the light bulb worked. So, if you're stuck tweaking the same project for the 50th time, stop. Done is better than perfect. Progress beats paralysis every single time. Let go of flawless. Embrace finished. Because perfection isn't real, but learning is. And that's baby science for you.